Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. That's Maddie. We're back with Wildcard weekend already. Man, this season has flown by.
It is the Wildcard weekend, and what a Wildcard weekend this has thrown up. Like 4 out of the 6 away teams are favorites. We have 4 away favorites in a wildcard round. That doesn't normally happen. The divisional favorites are not the favorites in this one. And that is going to be great as we're going forward. Also, guys, if you're watching and you want to give us a theme tune, please feel free. If you're a musical person and feel like giving us a theme tune for the start of our show, we would love to hear from you guys. That would be so much fun. We're welcoming guys to our wild card show. But to start with, Jay, we're going to head back to Black Monday because we have some Black Monday residue to finish off here. And it is something that we spoke about on the last show on Tuesday. And if people want to watch more about it, then head back to the show on Tuesday. Mike McDaniels has been fired. He is not the head coach of the Miami Dolphins anymore. And Jay, my question to you is, what the fuck went on there? Why not fire him straight away on Monday? Have the Dolphins made the right decision compared to considering the amount of teams that are looking for head coaches? And Jay, is Mike McDaniels a kind of top of the line coach to be recruited by other teams?
I hope so. I hope he is. Also, did they make the right decision? I think absolutely. And I think the only reason you take this long to make that decision is because you had feelers out and there is a coach that you want whose agent told them he would take the job. Like, I think because we all know they do all these interviews, but they already know pretty much who they're hiring. Unless you're the Browns, I think you just get whoever's left over. But they already know pretty much because they've had conversations with the agents behind the scenes. And I think you already know that you have a good chance of getting the coach you want. And I think it was the right decision. And I hope he is up for jobs on a high end because, one, Miami will never bring Flores back, so that's not a worry. And 2, if he gets a head coaching job, that's one less for Brian Flores. And everybody knows that is not me hating on Brian Flores. That is my love for Brian Flores as a Vikings fan. And I want him to stay.
Yeah, and what's becoming really interesting is those offensive coordinators where we've been saying the whole time, it has to be an offensive guy that you're hiring in the building, right? And Mike McDaniel surely becomes one of the best offensive minds who is on the market. It's just, is Mike McDaniel a guy that you want to lead your organization? Is he a head coach that you want? I agree. I think it is time that Miami moved off Mike McDaniel. Clearly, things were wrong there. Whether that's Mike McDaniel's fault or whether it's a roster construction problem, which I think it's a roster construction problem, and it's Mike McDaniel didn't help the issue, like both together. Like, I don't think the entire problem is Mike McDaniel, but he does become one of the best offensive minds on the market. And if your entire goal is to hire an offensive-minded head coach, Mike McDaniel has got to be one of the guys at the top of the list. But if I'm Mike McDaniel, I want to go and be an offensive coordinator.
Detroit.
That's got to be it.
Detroit. Jahmyr Gibbs, that run game, Detroit.
It's got to be Detroit. I think Detroit is a lot of fun for him to go here. I think Arizona as a job might not be a terrible job for him to go as the head coach. But imagine if, Mike McCarthy goes to the Atlanta Falcons or, John Harbaugh goes to the Atlanta Falcons and then Mike McDaniel follows him as the offensive coordinator. I think, go on.
Oh, sorry. We got a little lag. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Hit me. It's all you, man.
I was going to say, if Rob Saleh gets another job, he was the running game coordinator in San Francisco. So they know each other. You know what I mean? They've worked together. That might be something that where Rob Saleh's like, come run my offense. Because here's the thing. Like, if you're an offensive coordinator and you're great and you get a head coaching job, you're always going to be needing a defensive coordinator who can run the defense and vice versa, right? If you're a defensive guy, you need somebody you can trust to almost be a second head coach to that unit. This is why John Harbaugh is an anomaly, because he's the CEO, right? And it makes it a little different. But you need somebody you can trust as a head coach almost to run that other unit. That's why he makes such a great addition for a defensive head coach who gets a job. But I think he would be electric in Detroit.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with Mike McDaniel, I think really this is, if I was him, if I was Mike McDaniel, it's not about getting a head coaching job next year. It's about getting a head coaching job a year down the line, 2 years down the line. If I'm Mike McDaniel's agent, I'm saying, who's got the best offense in the league? Where can you really do a lot to be the guy and get touted as the offensive coordinator? Because the jobs where he could be the head coaching favorite is Arizona, Tennessee, maybe Atlanta. I think there's other guys ahead of him in Atlanta, but the Browns, and you just think Arizona, Tennessee, the Browns, that's not Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel doesn't.
Arizona's a good job. I don't get it. Arizona's a good job.
I think what they need is, I think a Mike McDaniel in Arizona doesn't work. I don't think that's the right person for them to go and hire. I would say, I agree with you. Where's Robert Saleh going? Where's John Harbaugh going? If Brian Flores goes, where's Brian Flores going? You know,
stop
I think
saying his name.
Sorry, man. I know. Where's Vance Joseph going?
Look, Luana Romo should go before Flores. Vance Joseph should go before Flores. Okay. I just want to throw these names out there because they need jobs. I'm quick trying to talk Flores into a job, which scares me because more and more jobs keep opening up. And I was like, oh, there's only going to be like 4 open jobs because there's no head coaching candidates. And man, too many now. What are we up to 8?
We're up to 9 head coaching positions with that we've got now with the Dolphins becoming open.
And we'll wait until we talk about them. But the Packers, now in the rumors of the head coaching cycle, like crazy stuff going on.
There's a couple of guys where if you don't hit your playoff win here, if you get one playoff win, I think you're safe. I think as soon as you hit one playoff win, I think you're okay. I've seen like guys like Nick Wright and those kind of guys, Colin Cowherd, say if Sean McDermott doesn't get to the AFC Championship game, then that could be him out of a job. But one playoff win keeps your job for next year, surely.
Did you see who they are now reporting to maybe be the head coach in Tennessee? Coach Clapp. I think it's a great fit. I think it's actually a great fit to send him down. He is amazing on TV, though, so I'd hate to see him go. I think he's really good with the TV and speaking to people. As somebody who knows more football than we'll ever forget, and he still knows how to talk to you, you know what I mean, and explain things. I think he'd be great for young Cam Ward, though. He played the position. He played in the NFL as a backup. I think it'd be a good fit.
Jay, if you could take your current announcing, if you had your current announcing teams that you have across the league, and you could put them into a coaching team, what would the coaching team be? So let's say it's for the Tennessee Titans. You can only hire announcers. What would it be? Because for me, it's Coach Clapp and it's Greg Olson as the offensive coordinator. Both of those make sense to me.
Okay, I wouldn't mind a Brady or a Romo as an offensive coordinator. Also, J.J. Watt as the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, definitely. J.J. Watt, defensive coordinator. The problem with Tom Brady is he already has shares in the Raiders. So you have to.
Yeah, but you
to
can't
decide
start putting realistic shit on hypothetical questions. That is.
I mean, that's fair enough. I think with Jason Garrett, Greg Olsen, though, since Greg Olsen has taken that booth position, that the broadcasting position, it's Greg Olsen would be a great offensive coordinator from what I've seen. Or Greg Olsen would almost be one of those guys that would be great as a CEO of the football team, as a head coach. That John Harbaugh guy, Mike Vrabel guy.
I won't play it on here, but anybody who hasn't seen this, including Maddie, if you haven't seen this, after the show, go YouTube Greg Olsen's rap with the 7th Floor crew while he was in Miami. It is sexual as fuck, so I'm not gonna like try to pull it up and play it. It is hilarious. He made it in college. He hates that people bring it up now, though, so that's a problem. But I also, to go with your football team, if you're replacing the GM, this man should have been a GM years ago. Why Theo Riddick is not a GM already is beyond me. He was a scout. He's amazing at analyzing. He has one of the most accurate draft boards every year. Why this man is not a GM, I don't know. I was actually hoping the Vikings would draft or sign him when they were looking at Kwesi. To be honest, I didn't know shit about Kwesi, though, until they brought him up, and then I had to research him.
Yeah, and I think the one guy for me as well, like Chris Sims Jr. No, it's just Chris Sims, isn't it? His dad's called Philip.
Yeah, his dad's Phil.
Yeah, his dad's Phil. But Chris Sims, head scout, makes a lot of sense for me as well. Like draft guy. I love whenever he speaks on stuff, he's the guy that I listen to as well. So I like Chris Sims.
Big Saturday for your Packers.
I know, right? Crazy Saturday for Go Pack Go. We will get to that. Do not worry. But and then the other side of that, Jay, special teams coach. Gotta be Pat McCaffrey, right? like has to be. How fun would that be? That would be. Imagine him having coaching in the building.
Dude, your British just flew out with that McAfee. Because he pronounces it McAfee, but I get how you guys say it there. So but I get that's how you guys say it, and that's how we said it because of the anti malware software or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? McAfee software or whatever. Yeah. So, but the British say it the other way, and a lot of British people do it. So I'm like, the Britain you just hit hardcore right there.
Welcome to the Yankee and the Brit, everybody, where we just pronounce stuff differently. And that is genuinely, guys, between us, the main difference. We just pronounce stuff differently. But with Mike McDaniel, then back to the topic of conversation. Mike McDaniel has now been fired by the Miami Dolphins. The right decision by Miami to get rid of him, and the right decision for Mike McDaniels to be gone. Right? It's got to be for both. For both, this is a good thing that they're both leaving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're McDaniel, you want to keep your job as a head coach, I'm sure. But I think it was time to move on. I don't know how he can fix what's going on there anyway. I think it's a start over again, almost hit reset and try this all over again, because I think the Tua experiment has proven to be a failure. So, also, I think Tua could play in this league with the right coach. But again, if you're the right coach, do you want to risk your coaching job on somebody who's had so many concussions?
Yeah, I think with Tua, is an interesting conversation in this job, right? I think with Tua Tagovailoa, he is indeed a top starting quarterback in this league. Like, he is easily in the top 32 quarterbacks in the US. That has to be on the level of play. But I think he's slotting himself into a position here where he is, if he's your starting quarterback, you're looking to move on from Tua. And that's a position you never want to be in. So you're at that point where it's from the 20th best down to the 32nd. That's where Tua is going to live for the rest of his career, in the same way that you're going to get beaten out by a rookie if a rookie comes in, you're going to be beaten out just by the case of we don't know what we got here. So I think that's bad luck for Tua. But I think, the Indianapolis Colts for Tua Tagovailoa would be an interesting place for him to go. The Falcons would be an interesting place for him to go, or just staying in Miami for this year. Like I almost became surprised that the Dolphins moved off McDaniel and Tua this year, because they've got to pay $50 million to Tua this year. So you may as well stay with his head coach for one more year just to see what happens. Maybe he stays just to get that $50 million off the books.
It sounds like they're getting ready to just eat that $90 million over 2 years and walk away like they did with Russell Wilson in Denver. So Tua should be able to double dip, which means if there is any kind, I don't know what the language in his contract is, but if it's anything where it's like Russell Wilson's, where whatever he gets signed for another team gets deducted, prorated off of that, he's going to sign for the league minimum somewhere anyway, because it's going to be the Dolphins paying him that huge amount next year. So Tua's going to have some opportunities just because the contract will be so friendly. And there's a lot of coaches, rightfully and delusionally, that think, oh, he'll be different with me. I do think if you put Tua in an offense with McVay or Shanahan or any of these offensive geniuses, you'll be fine. Maybe it's a guy that the Colts really need to go get because they have such a questionable quarterback room. Is it Riley Leonard? We know it's not Anthony Richards anymore. We've talked about Daniel Jones not till 27. So maybe Tua's a guy that's in line to go compete with Riley Leonard for a starting job in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think that I think that there's a lot of teams that Tua Tagovailoa could go to. Like the Jets easily have a better quarterback position if Tua is there, right? It's just they could really
Jets have to get up to number 2, don't they? They have to get up to number 2. You don't even get the second best quarterback in the draft, who I argue has a higher ceiling than Mendoza, but no, Mendoza is going to come out more ready to win right now.
It's if you're the Jets, you shouldn't draft a quarterback. Like I think we've both spoke about this a lot with the Jets, where it's and just general teams. We've been doing this for 5 years. Like we have a record here now, where it's if you're going to draft a quarterback, you need to have been set for the quarterback to come in there, right? And with the Jets, it would be much better for them to trade out of the 2.
They're not at 2. I was like, are they?
They're at 2, the Jets. Oh, no, the Giants are at 2.
The Giants are at 2, so they have to get up.
Yeah, they're at 3 or 4, and it's just with the Jets, it's like trade out, build up the team, bring in a guy like Tua. I think Tua makes a lot of sense.
The Jets are 2. We're idiots. The Giants won, remember?
Yes, they beat the Cowboys. I've got Tankathon up now. The Jets are 2. There you go. Jets, Arizona.
I normally agree with you. But I feel like Moore is a generational talent, and if you don't grab him, you're going to regret it.
You do love Moore, and there's going to be a lot of talk of that in the offseason. But, Jay, the Dolphins have moved off Mike McDaniel, something that we thought would come even earlier than this, and I think we both agree is the right decision. But we both want Mike McDaniel to find the right job for him. I think the NFL is a better place with Mike McDaniels in it. And I hope he hits an offensive coordinating job first.
Quick, who do you got taking that Miami job?
With that Miami job, Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks, I think they'll go offensive. I think they'll go offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. I don't think they have the leverage to take Harbaugh.
He used to be the Vikings OC.
Kevin Stefanski. I was thinking Clint Kubiak. We've spoke about Kubiak enough on this show where I thought he must be something to do with the Vikings.
Him and his dad were both in Minnesota for a while.
Yeah.
Him and his dad were both in Minnesota with Mike Zimmer.
Yeah, so I think for me, Clint Kubiak. I think maybe Matt Nagy could be the guy there, but
I got it.
Go on.
So it's domino effect. Bears beat the Packers, fire LaFleur. Rumor is Harbaugh's coming to Green Bay, leaving LaFleur to go to Miami.
Green Bay immediately becomes the best job, maybe outside of the Ravens.
The rumor is that was the 7th team when there was 6 openings for him because the Ravens weren't calling him, and he had 7 teams calling. The rumor is it was the Green Bay Packers. And we talked about how policy, these aren't their guys. He might make wholesale changes if the Packers don't win. But I digress.
It's a very Packers job there as well. Jay, the other big news coming out today is Robert Saleh, and he seems to be the lead candidate for the Baltimore Ravens job. Is that the right decision for the Baltimore Ravens? Should the Ravens hire Robert Saleh?
Yes, because they kept floating Flores. So yes, absolutely. But with taking my personal feelings out of it, no, you got to go get an offensive guy for Lamar. But I had to say that because they kept floating Flores, and I'm like, stop. I get that would bring back the Baltimore defense and that kind of thing. But no, I think this was a referendum. So, okay, very quickly, Ian Rappaport reports that the owner talked to the players, and they did not like Harbaugh anymore. Adam Schefter vehemently came out against this. So you have the 2 biggest guys in the news business for the NFL, right? Disagreeing. I lean more with Ian Rappaport just because we know Schefter has these relationships that he cultivates. Ian Rappaport works for the NFL, so he just gets access, where people have this quid pro quo with Schefter sometimes. Go ahead.
Can I make a political point on this? I won't make it too strongly, but as a British person, right, referendums are fucked, and this is why, right? So if you ask a group of people one question, and that is, do you like John Harbaugh or do you like the EU, for example, just saying, right? Then if you ask them one question, then you end up with 52% on one side and 48% on the other side. And it just means that everybody fucking hates each other, right? That's why referendums are fucked and a mad way to do anything. And if that's how the Baltimore Ravens have ended up, they've really schismed their organization. If you end up at 50-50, if you're doing a referendum and you're answering a question, you need to be hitting, which is what, for example, with this is mad because politics and football kind of coalesce a lot of the time. So if you're for the Welsh referendum, as should Wales have its own parliament in the UK, they put them in place to grant it. You need a 2/3 majority, so 66% majority, which is why referendums are a thing, right? You put in that 2/3 majority, or you just split everyone down the middle. And if that's what the Baltimore Ravens have done, then that's a real problem for the Ravens going forward. And I'm sorry to have jumped in on what you were saying, but just that asking that one question and then judging it on 50-50, I think that's a real problem for the Ravens.
And I think you're 100% wrong when it comes to a sports team. If 50% of the locker room hates you, you need to go.
Yeah. I obviously digressing down a political line there. But if 50% of your sports team don't like you, then you are in trouble.
But here's the thing:
the question is put out.
The referendum was: are we keeping Lamar or are we keeping John Harbaugh? Because it wasn't going to be both, and they decided that they were going to ride with Lamar, rightly so. So with that said, you have to go get an offensive coach. You cannot go get a defensive coach if you want Lamar to take the next step as an athlete who just turned 29 years old, which he is dead in the middle of his prime. You got 3, 4, 5, 6 years to go get that Super Bowl before he ages out of being athletic. And so you better go get this done right now with an offensive coach. Go get a guy who knows what they're doing with a running quarterback. I think that's your best bet, but I don't know. That's just my thought on Baltimore and their coaching job.
Yeah, and now the thing is with that, because we're saying you should go get an offensive coordinator as your head coach, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try and hire Robert Saleh, right? Like, if you can pay Robert Saleh top defensive coordinator / head coach money, which Robert Saleh has nowhere near close as the head coach for the 49ers because of Mike Shanahan. So if you hire Matt Nagy as your head coach, if you go out and you go get Matt Nagy or Clint Kubiak as your head coach, those offensive coordinator guys, and then you bring in Robert Saleh as the defensive coordinator, but in the same way that the Vikings have, where you have Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores, which is basically you have two head coach caliber guys on either side of the ball, then that would be interesting, I think, for the Baltimore Ravens. But I agree.
Why would he leave San Francisco for the same thing, though?
Yeah, you've got to pay him more money. Like you
have and I think San Francisco would be dumb not to match, right? Like they'd be dumb not to give him that.
Yeah, the 49ers have to immediately match. For the Ravens, it's ask the question. See if you can get him out of there. Ask the question. But with what the Minnesota Vikings have done with Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores is really it must be really tempting for a lot of teams to do that. With the Ravens, it must be so tempting for them to go with what they've always had, which is these defensive coaches, this emphasis on doing everything right. But the reason you get rid of John Harbaugh is in acknowledgement that you need to do something differently in this modern NFL. And they need to make sure they don't fall down the same trap. And the whole AFC North is in this position. Don't fall into the same trap that you've had where it's a black and blue division. We do this on defense, like you need to have that offensive edge to win in the NFL. So don't hire Robert Saleh. Although Robert Saleh, I do think, is one of the top head coaching candidates because of the lack of offensive coordinators who have head coach ability, with 9 jobs now available in the NFL.
Robert Saleh is the perfect guy for the Browns because their offense is going to be shit anyway, and they're going to have to figure out how to win with that defense.
Yeah, and I think with the Browns, the Titans, even the Dolphins, like a culture-setting guy, I think would be a big deal with Robert Saleh.
Yeah, the Dolphins need an adult. The Titans and the Dolphins need an adult. Yeah,
the Ravens don't need an adult. Adult. I just said that the most American way ever. The Ravens don't need an adult, do they? They have an adult they've always had an adult, right? But Miami, Arizona, that would be a good job for Robert Saleh to go because they actually do have a great defense, funnily enough, in terms of players, just not the way that they've been playing Arizona.
Oh, well.
It's a lot.
It's going to be interesting offseason.
Yeah, the coach carousel is exciting. The quarterback carousel, we'll see if Lamar still wants to stay in Baltimore, if Joe Burrow still wants to stay in Cincinnati. We have an exciting offseason. So, guys, if you want to stay with us through the offseason, make sure to like and subscribe this video. But, Jay, we're going to move on to looking ahead to the wild card round of the playoffs. And Jay, I think this is a good wildcard round. I think we've got some great matchups. And as I said at the start of the show, we've got a lot of teams that didn't win their division as favorites. And we're going to start with one of those teams here. The Los Angeles Rams are favored against the Carolina Panthers. They're favored by 10.5 points. And Jay, will the Rams be up for this revenge game, or will they be trying to take it easy because it's the Carolina Panthers after all?
Well, they better be up for the last time they played Panthers, they lost. So you think that would make them up and ready for this playoff game? I think the Rams are going to go deep into the playoffs. So, I mean, they better be ready.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think with how Sean McVay came out in week 17 and said, we've not been good enough. We're going to play everybody week 18, because that's not what Sean McVay's done. In the preseasons, he doesn't play his guys. He rests his guys. In week 18, he rests his guys. He believes in rest, which I also agree with. But when your team isn't playing well, you can't believe in rest because you need those guys to go out and play well. And that's what Sean McVay said. And then they showed it in week 18. They were great. I think they'll take this game super seriously. I think, obviously, because they got beat by the Panthers, they're going to take it even more seriously than they would have done when they were beat by the Panthers. I think it's a shame that the Bucs aren't in this game. I think the Bucs are a better matchup here. And that's largely down to guys like Bryce Young. Jay, I actually think the Panthers have a good mismatch on the outside. The Rams cornerback's position is skillful but small. And the Panthers wide receiver position is big. Terrell McMillan, for example, is a big wide receiver and he's been great all season. Jay, with Bryce Young at quarterback, can the Carolina Panthers make the most of that mismatch on the outside?
I don't think so because Bryce Young doesn't light it up. Even when they win, he throws for like 160 yards, right? Like, it's almost like at this point, Canales is figuring out how to win in spite of his quarterback.
Yeah, I think with Bryce Young has some games, including the game against the Rams, where he's thrown for well over 300 yards. But the interesting stat...
My broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, well, the interesting stat after that is yards after the catch, right? Like, his arm throwing the ball is not making those yards. He's just
17 over 20 yards all season. 17 passes over 20 yards in the air all season.
Exactly. And he hits those short yardage, which for a quarterback, Jay, that's a good skill. Like, to be able to read the defense, get the ball to the right guy, to make the yak. That's not slagging off Bryce Young by saying he does that. It's just he doesn't have a live enough arm, a powerful enough arm to make the most on the outside. And as long as the Rams defense is ready to make those tackles, to follow those guys, I think they've got the Panthers slowed down seriously here. I don't think Bryce Young can make the most of that matchup.
No, I agree with you. I think Bryce Young is a backup quarterback who got drafted number 1 overall. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think he's in that same realm that I was talking about too at the start of the show, where it's like, I think if he's your starting quarterback, you don't necessarily hate it. You don't necessarily hate that he's your starting quarterback, but you're looking to move on. He's in that like 20 to 32 range. And once you're below 20, you're always looking to move on, right? You're looking for the next great guy.
I would hate it if Bryce Young was my quarterback.
He's worse than Tua. I do think he's worse than Tua.
Besides the Jets, I can't, and I'm sure there's another one, but I can't think of a single starter I'd start Bryce Young over.
Yeah, I think we did. We did this in the last show, and I came up with a couple and then just went, nah, you're right. You're 100% right.
Bryce Young has not lived up to anything that anybody thought he was going to be. And it's not even that they whiffed on the first overall pick. It's they whiffed on trading up for the first overall pick.
Yeah, because you get rid of DJ Moore. And also with that, the Bears would have taken Bryce Young if they were up there as well. Unless the Bears just decided he wasn't for them and they were always going to trade back, which it did actually sound like they were doing. Jay, with how we've been describing this game, and they're a 10.5-point underdog, how does the Panthers playing with house money help them in this game? Because if the Panthers lose in this game, their fans aren't going to be upset. They're going to be gassed that they won the NFC South. So when you're playing with house money, how does that help you in the playoffs?
I don't think it ever really happens just because the players and the coaches, everything's on the line for them, right? They want to win more than anything. So I don't think they ever think house money. But it could make them come in a little more relaxed. But I just think there's too many vets on the Rams to get too hyped up and let the week of the wild card playoffs overwhelm them. And for a lot of the Panthers, the playoffs are a lot faster. This is going to be so new to them.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think the Rams, it came up to the fact that they needed to win the game and get out of the game early in their last game, and that's exactly what they did. And I think they'll pick the same with this one. They'll be trying to turn this game into a bye as much as possible and be done by the fourth quarter. And I think the Panthers will stick around. I think they've got a good run game. But Jay, 10.5 points. Give me the Rams in this one. Jay, who have you got?
I'm taking the Rams also, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't love the spread, but give me the Rams in that one. Jay, the Chicago Bears are going up against the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are 1.5 point favorites in this game. Jay, what adaptations can the Green Bay Packers make to hold off the Chicago Bears run game? Because the last time the Bears played the Packers went for 200 yards and dominated that game.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the Packers honestly shit the bed in that game, and they beat them in the first time around, and they were beating them until like everything fell apart. I think the Packers' best move, I don't know how they stopped that run game, except you got to tackle right away. And the problem is the Bears never give you a clean tackling lane. So it makes it harder because it's really hard to arm tackle a fucking running back in the NFL. So if you can't get them wrapped up, good luck with, and Amungai has been playing out of this world as their like smash type runner, and Swift has come in, had some big plays. So they kind of got the two-headed monster back there. But I think the Packers have to outscore them. And I think that's where a Malik Willis package has to come in, because he made the Bears defense look inept at times because they were not ready for him.
Yeah, I really think that we're heading towards the point in a league where 2 quarterbacks is a real win. And we'll see 2 quarterbacks on the field. We'll see 2 quarterback packages. I think that diamond formation that they run a lot at college is going to come into the NFL soon, where it's like quarterback, running back, fullback, and you have that diamond formation. But instead of the fullback, you have the quarterback, but a mobile quarterback. So you have like a Malik Willis, a Taysom Hill kind of guy. I think that's coming into the NFL big, and I think that'll be a really big thing for the Bears. I think with Matt LaFleur, he has to show us here where he is able to adapt within season, and I think he comes into the season with his really solid game plan, and that's what he sticks with. He needs to show us where he can adapt. But Jay, I think on the other side of the ball, Ben Johnson is going to have some mad stuff for the Packers to be able to diagnose, and the Bears are going to be able to run this ball on the Packers on a windy day in Soldier Field. I don't see where the Packers can actually stop the run game here. Jay, how do they stop this run game that they've got? Because I just don't see it. You can say outscore on the other side, but if you're completely controlling the clock, you can't outscore on the other side.
Yeah, but see, up until the last 4 games where everything fell apart, they were getting better at their run blitz defense and everything else. And then Micah gets hurt. And it's like, come on, Micah didn't stop the run anyway. You guys are all doing some mental block thing, right? So the Packers could be hit or miss on any given day with their defense. They just have to play their best game. But I just have this weird suspicion it's going to be a long fucking day for Chicago.
Oh, right. Okay.
And everybody's talking about the weather. I want to let you guys know we get worse weather because we're farther north. So, like, Green Bay is not going to flinch about this Chicago weather.
Yeah, I think it stops you being able to do what you want to do. I don't think when people are talking about the weather, I don't think they go. It's not like when Miami went into the cold in Kansas City, right? Like, that's not what people are talking about. It just stops what you're being able to do. It plays into the Bears, and Ben Johnson loves a run.
Well, the Bears have maybe the best offensive line in football, so it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And it really makes you struggle. Jay, with that, Jordan Love seems to be back. Caleb Williams has a low completion percentage, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the main thing I want to ask you is, what extra dynamics are in play when you're in a playoff game and you're going against your division rival? What are the extra dynamics that lead into that game? Because the Bears and the Packers, this is one of the longest stemming rivalries. How does it feel going up against your division rival in the wild card round of the playoffs?
Well, the biggest thing is neither team is scared. Like, you're not nervous to go in and play. Like, you know each other so well that you're not. You think, even if the rest of the world doesn't believe you can beat them, you believe you can beat them because you studied them for so many years. And I know people are going to go, Ben Johnson, new to the team. Yeah, well, he was in Detroit studying the same teams. So it's not like that's an issue. And it's not like they're like, oh, Matt LaFleur's never seen Ben Johnson because been in the same division. So I almost think that for the most part, you're not going to trick the other team. I mean, maybe a trick play here and there, but they know what you're going to do, and it's going to line up, and you just got to do it better than them. Bears' run game is better than the Packers' run game, but the Packers' run game is decent with Josh Jacobs. You got to control the clock, try to keep the Bears off the field, but as much as I like what Caleb Williams is doing, I still think the Packers' passing game is better, especially if Jordan Love is on. Like, when he's on, he's electric. When he's off, it's like he's not even the same fucking guy.
Yeah, Jay, Jordan Love is back for this game. So how important is Jordan Love for the Green Bay Packers in this one?
Okay, Packer fans, feel free. Let me know how much you hate me after this. I think you should trade Jordan Love and keep going with Malik Willis. So I do. He'll be cheaper. I think he's better because of his all-around game. He is accurate. He can run. I don't know. And you can get a couple first-round picks for Jordan Love. I don't know why. That sounds like a win-win-win across the board for the Packers. I would play Malik Willis in this game because of how the Bears had zero answer for him. But that's not what's going to happen. So Jordan Love has to be on. If Jordan Love is on, it's a long day for the Bears because now you got to pick your poison of Josh Jacobs eating up clock and 8 yards a carry, or Jordan Love killing you with that pass. But if Jordan Love's off, it makes the game a whole lot different, and it makes the whole game land on Josh Jacobs' back.
Yeah, and I think the Bears, they live and die by the turnover game, right?
Turnover, yeah.
Yeah, they live and die by turnovers. Look, John Love, if you get pressure on him, he has this fantastic back foot throw ability. As long as he's on with that back foot throw ability, because John Love is weirdly the best and worst quarterback when he's under
streaky.
Yes. Yeah, he's so John Love, when he's under pressure, has the worst stats in the NFL. But then when he's under pressure, but then when you pick up, what is that? That's a really interesting comment. That's a fun one. But John Love, when you pick him up,
let's show everyone. There you go.
That's weird. I'm in your walls. I mean, if you're in my walls, I'm sorry, man. Like, I feel really bad for you because this shit straight up crack den, trap house, or whatever it's called. So I'm sorry for you, clips. But sorry, with John Love, when he's on, he destroys a team. So the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs, for example, that back foot throw, he completely killed us. But actually, when you look at his stats throughout the season, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL under pressure, including turnovers. So what he really needs to be able to do is not give over turnovers to the Chicago Bears. And Jay, finally, on the other side of the ball, Caleb Williams has the lowest completion percentage out of starting quarterbacks in the NFL. How will that affect the game here with his low completion percentage but low turnover rate as well?
Yeah, Caleb protects the ball, and with his legs, he's electric. He scrambles like just amazing in the pocket. And when it's at the biggest moments in the biggest game, Caleb comes on. He's the fourth quarter kid. And I think a little bit skewed stats because it was such a rough start for the Bears at the beginning of the year. I think Caleb has shown improvement, and I'm not saying he's better at this point, but he scares me more than Jordan Love because of what he can do with his legs. Again, I think the Packers are making a mistake by not playing Malik Willis, but that's just me.
I think with Caleb, it's the adaptation to Ben Johnson's system that scares me the most. That leap from that leap from last year where he was the most sacked quarterback in the NFL to this year where he's only the 7th or 8th most sacked quarterback in the NFL. You've got to think that takes another leap. And I don't think it's actually his accuracy is the reason for the low completion rate. I think there's other factors involved there, i.e. he's trying to look after the ball so much. He grounds the ball more often than most players. Jay, the Green Bay Packers are 1.5 point favorites in this one. Who have you got?
All right. I hope I'm completely wrong. I will be cheering against my pick, but give me the Packers minus the 1.5.
Yeah, Jay, I've got the Bears at 1.5.
I knew that already.
Plus 1.5. I think
you
Bears
almost talked me into it.
When the Bears are underdogs, they're an unbelievable team to bet on this season. I think the Bears are just a better football team than the Green Bay Packers this year, considering the amount of injuries. And Jay, before we go to break, we have one more game, and this, Jay, I think might be the most interesting matchup of them all. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going up against the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are on the road in Duval. They're 1.5 point favorites. Jay, is this a must-win game for Sean McDermott?
No.
No.
He won't get fired.
The best quarterback in the AFC, one and done, you think they stay with him?
Yeah, with one of the worst defensive lines in the AFC. But yeah, I do because, again, I think he's Josh Allen's guy. I think they like him. And the Bills don't move on from people right away. That's not their MO. And it's one of those things, again, if you fire him after the playoffs with all these teams looking for coaches, do you get the coach you want? Also, is the coach you're going to get better? I think he's Josh Allen's guy. So, no, I don't think they fire him. I think he's safe.
Yeah, I think it would be crazy to fire Sean McDermott. I think it's a different reason than – so we were saying you're right to fire John Harbaugh because you need a different voice in the room. I don't think Sean McDermott's the reason you need a different voice in the room, although I do think their defense has been the problem this year, and he's a defensive coach, so he needs to kind of fix that. One more year of Sean McDermott, I think he immediately goes on the hot seat if they don't get to the AFC Championship game this year. I think he goes on the hot seat, but I think as long as his defense improves next year, then he'll be fine. And I don't think they fire him this year because where's the guy that you're going for? Unless it's Kevin Stefanski, unless it's John Harbaugh, who are you taking over Sean McDermott?
Well, I take Mike McCarthy over him too, but this year for Sean McDermott, I don't think the problem is the X's and the O's. I think it's the Billies and the Joes. So maybe you look at the GM before you look at McDermott.
Yeah, I mean, their wide receiver room, weak. Their defensive room, not great. Like, when you look at the players...
Okay, their secondary's been playing better, but you can't cover for fucking 7 seconds. So you need pass rushers. Your linebacker kind of weak. But that you fix some of the problems with your secondary, but I still think you need faster safeties moving forward.
Also, their secondary is great in the pass game, but they can't get a rush. But the secondary is really weak in the run game. When you look at the run game problem,
well, that's a problem with their linebackers too.
Yeah, their linebackers and their safeties. They give up. They actually don't. They're not actually terrible in like giving up yards per run. Like yards per run, they average around three yards a rush. If you take out those massive run plays that they give up, and the massive run plays, when you give those up, they're largely down to the safeties, and they don't have fast enough safeties to make the play. And they're one safety who is fast enough, which is Bishop, and he makes really great plays in the pass game, but Bishop in the run game does not make those tackles, and that is a big problem there. And Jay, one of the most improved teams in the NFL is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Cohen's run game is really important. Is this a terrible matchup for the Buffalo Bills because of that run game that Jacksonville have put together?
100%. And the way their defense has been playing, the way that their secondary's been playing, the Jacksonville Jaguars are the most impressive team from where they were at the beginning of the year to where they are now. And I mean, I'm just going to let you know, I think I let it be known on Tuesday, I got the Jags winning this game. You can give me the Jags and points, but if I was betting this game, I might consider betting the money line depending on what it was.
Yeah, I think with Jacksonville in this game as well, like, you know, they're at home. So they get that extra edge as well as being on the road. Look, Josh Allen is incredible. So you never know what Josh Allen's going to do. But if we go roster for roster, the Jacksonville Jaguars are better. Like that's just the way it is. Jay, if the Jacksonville Jaguars win this game, are they favorite for the AFC? Because they've just knocked out the best quarterback in the AFC.
I didn't know where we were going, so I held back to saying this a second ago. They're my Super Bowl pick.
I love that. I really do. Like, I do like that. I think the Patriots probably still my favorite in the AFC, and we'll talk about the Patriots in a second. You know, the Broncos, considering it all goes through Mile High, I think is a really important point with it going through Mile High. But if you knock out Josh Allen, that is huge for you. And Jay, just one more thing here. The Jacksonville Jaguars, like the Chicago Bears, live and die by the interception rate. Do you think Josh Allen can hold on and not give up that interception rate? Do you think they just run this game through James Cook, knowing that the Jags defense lives by interceptions?
That if you can, but Jacksonville's going to make it hard on James Cook. And if Jacksonville can score and get up and you can force this into Josh Allen having to make Superman plays, that's when those turnovers could end up coming.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Jay, I'm picking the Jags in this game as well. You're picking the Jags too. And that is the end of the first half of our wildcard preview. Guys, come back for the second half. It's going to be great. We've got some great games in that second half as well. And we will be rounding off with Jay's to bet or not to bet. That is obviously off Shakespeare's To Be or Not to Be. And it is all about which games Jay says you should bet and which games you should stay away from. Because in this wildcard round, best bets don't necessarily make sense. All right, guys, if you want to keep us going, it is currently 1 a.m. in the UK. And the best way to keep me going so then Jay can keep going is by buying us a coffee.
Me and Jay set up the Yankee and the Brit nearly 5 years ago. And in that time, we've gone up to about 7 shows a week. And with the help of our loyal community, we've been able to keep growing. But we want to grow even more. And that's why just giving $5 or £5 could really help us out in our Buy Me a Coffee fund. And all you have to do is hit the Buy Me a Coffee link in our YouTube descriptions. That'll be on every single video. You can give £5, $5. You can give it once, you can give it every month. And what that does is it allows us to grow and even buy ourselves a coffee every once in a while.
Well, everybody, it's me solo without Maddie riding this out. So let's talk a little MVP till Maddie gets back. I don't know who you guys got for your MVP, but I've let it be known. I think it's Drake May, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why. So, little tail of the tape. You got Matt Stafford, Drake May, the two guys everybody's talking about for MVP. Now, total touchdowns, Stafford's got it, 46-35. Passing yards at Stafford's 4,707 to 4,394. But rushing yards, it's Drake May with 450 to Matt Stafford's 1 rushing yard. That's wild because he's more athletic than that. But total yards, it's Drake May with 4,844 to Stafford's 4,700. Completion percentage, 72 for Drake May, 65 for Stafford. Both 8 interceptions, 3 fumbles. Stats versus completions or common opponents. Wow, I can't even talk. 1,545 yards for Stafford, 14 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Drake May, 1,585 yards, 13 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. Record versus common opponents, 4-2 for Stafford, 6-0 for Drake May. Division title, Drake May. Record 4-13, Drake May. QBR 72, Drake May. And they're both tough as hell. So I got Drake May as the MVP, but you guys let us know who you got. Comments below.
I really misjudged how long going for a piss would take. Like, I thought the ad was a bit longer, and I really misjudged how far away the toilet was there. But Jay, I agree with you. Drake May has to be the MVP here, right? I think that's a great talking point just before we move on. Drake May has to
Yeah,
be
for
the
me.
conversation.
It's between him and Stafford, but I think I just gave a ton of reasons why that it's Drake May.
Yeah, they're great reasons, and I think Drake May has to be the guy in the lead of.
I'm not mad if somebody goes to the mat for Stafford. I'm not mad at you, but I still think it's Drake May.
I think the only reason you don't go for the only reason you go to the mat for Stafford is the idea that we're so biased, have such strong recency bias that you really overly egg how good Matt Stafford was at the start of the season. But Drake May's been great all season long, so it's not actually recency biased whatsoever.
I've heard assholes on TV go, well, Drake May's got more chances to win it than Stafford. So what?
That's not the right rationale.
I agree. All right. So what game are we moving on to now,
We're
Maddie?
moving on to the San Francisco 49ers against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 5.5-point favorites. Jay, I have a question. What does Vegas see in the Philadelphia Eagles? How are they 5.5-point favorites against this 49ers team?
Well, I think it's experience. They've been at home and they've gotten the 49ers in the past. And the 49ers give up a lot of offensive yards, and their defense is bend, and pray you don't break. Like, that's their defense. I mean, actually, if San Francisco can get you to third down, you're in trouble because they're really good on third down. But it's the problem that people don't get the third down right away with them. Once they get in the red zone, they collapse. But I think all that scheme by Saleh. I think this is where the X's and the O's are actually better than the Jimmys and the Joes, right? Like, that it's in the reverse of what McDermott's dealing with. So, well, no, it'd be the same. It'd be the same as what McDermott's doing.
I think this is where you see why Robert Saleh is in the head coaching position after only 1 year away from head coaching with the New York Jets, right? Like, it's only been 1 year away. And he's immediately called back because of how much of a difference he's made for the San Francisco 49ers. And I think with the Philadelphia Eagles' offensive issues and just complete misfiring, Robert Saleh's the guy to jump in on that kind of stuff, right?
But the problem is, and I think Vegas is taking history into this. So Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts home in the playoffs, 5-0.
Yeah.
Average score 35-14, 0 turnovers, 14 takeaways, and have only trailed for 5 minutes and 43 seconds in all 5 games combined.
Yeah, and I think with the Philadelphia Eagles, something that's really, really important to mention is they really do turn it on when they come to this point. Also, the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't know how they fucking do this. Just a reminder to everybody, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, so anytime the Eagles are great, really fucks with me. But I don't understand how they do this, where legitimately they should have finished the second seed. Like, with the Bears losing against the Lions and them going up against the Commanders, they should have somehow finished the second seed in the NFC. And I don't really get how they do that, because it comes down to they don't necessarily play the best football, but they play the best winning football to get them to this point. And then as soon as they hit the playoffs, they did last year, as soon as they hit the playoffs, they look great. So I am worried about the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that Vegas are maybe overcooking the Eagles a little bit on past pretenses, but I don't think it's so out of whack as what the mainline football media have been saying. And I think that does come down to the fact that the 49ers defense is not great. Jay, can the San Francisco 49ers outscore the Philadelphia Eagles? The Philadelphia Eagles defense has been pretty solid, but does the Christian McCaffrey effect take over?
Yeah, because if you look at where the Eagles struggle on defense, it's when they have to focus too much on the the running back, and there's a quarterback that can actually get the ball out quick, move it around. Because when you catch the Eagles in space, sometimes they're actually out of position because they're so good at instinctively reacting. If you can catch them off guard, that's when it becomes a problem and you get big plays. And I think that's where Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy actually succeed. So I think with Pearsall back, another guy who can stretch the field, I think that opens it up more for McCaffrey too. I actually think them being back and healthy with Kittle and Juszczyk, another week even healthier, I think it puts more stress on them. And I think this is a game where first 1 to 28 wins.
Yeah, I think with Jaheed Campbell, they've really stepped off Jaheed Campbell playing big downs and they've given them to Nakobe Dean. I like Nakobe Dean, but Jaheed Campbell has been awesome throughout this whole season. So I think that's a real step down for them, the fact that they've been doing that. Zach Bourne is obviously awesome as well. The linebacker core is really important against San Francisco, and they have that. But can they make the most of it? Because I don't necessarily think they've made the most of it throughout. Jay, the San Francisco 49ers are 5.5 point. The Philadelphia Eagles are 5.5 point favorites. Who you got?
All right. Give me the Niners minus the 5.5 because I think the Niners could win this game, but I do think it comes down to one of those fourth quarter plays. Whoever team makes that biggest fourth quarter play wins this game. So I think it's less than a touchdown either way, so I'll take the points.
Yeah, give me the 49ers in this one as well for the same rationale. I don't think it's going to be over a touchdown winning this game. I think this is going to be a close one, perhaps the game of the series. And Jay, if the Philadelphia Eagles lose, is Nick Sirianni's job up for question?
Only if Howie has a better replacement in line. Like Howie's not going to make a dumb decision. So if Sirianni is the best coaching option you have for next year, you move on with him. It's really hard to fire a coach who won a Super Bowl with you. Got you to two really early too. You almost give them too much rope. So wouldn't be shocked if they keep Sirianni. If they lose again and decide to make a change, this is the first time where I'm behind it over the last few years because I'm like, something really weird just does not feel right with that team anymore.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's only if, if Harbaugh is available, that's the guy you take, right? I think that
if you had a conversation and you thought, and maybe Stefanski or Mike McCarthy, just because you don't like the way Sirianni's handling things, but you would already have to have like a wink agreement that before you fire him,
Yeah, exactly.
And the good thing that they have going for them, though, is if they decide to do it, the NFL did change a lot of the rules. So teams who do decide to fire their coaches in the playoffs have more of a chance. And they set it up so that coaches weren't being interviewed through the whole playoffs and screwing up a team's playoff run.
Yeah, I think I think as well with Nick Sirianni's potential firing if they lose, compared to the other coaches that have been fired, I think he becomes like towards the bottom of the rung for getting a new job. Like I think he very much is the Philadelphia Eagles head coach. I don't think he's necessarily a head coach that fits a lot of other teams as well. So that might make you feel a bit better as an Eagle if they lose that game. But yeah, we've got the San Francisco 49ers in that game at plus 5.5. Jay, the New England Patriots are 3.5 point favorites against the Los Angeles Chargers. Honestly, the playoffs, I think, are looking great for this wildcard weekend. This is a fantastic matchup here with Joel out, with Rashawn Slater out. Jay, can the Los Angeles Chargers overcome a terrible offensive line?
No, they could have them all in and they still aren't going to win this game.
Yeah, I was surprised that the Patriots only being 3.5 point favorites with Alton and Rashawn Slater out in this one.
Yeah, it's because Drake May's young, that team's young, all that. I think more than that, I think they get extra points for the Harbaugh effect. But I don't think the Chargers have shown that this is their year. We've talked about it before. Solid year, nothing to be ashamed of. I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders, and I haven't for most of the year.
Yeah, I think with the Patriots, with the Los Angeles Chargers, they need to be able to run the ball. That's something that they have to be able to do to really offset things like play action pass, which gives Justin Herbert just a little bit more time to be able to throw the ball. The New
And
England Patriots.
both the D tackles are back for the Patriots in Milton and what's his name? I can't remember his name. The other D tackle.
With Milton Williams and Anthony Bowser. With
there you go.
With those D tackles back, the New England Patriots are currently ranked as the 4th best defense in the NFL throughout the season. I do think that's one of those things that is overhyped because of how easy their schedule's been. A lot of people have been focusing on Drake May and the offense, on how easy their schedule's been, but actually the defense is the thing. like Drake May would have carved up most teams in the league with the way that he's been playing, but the defense is much, like, I still think the defense is top 10, top 5, I think is a stretch with how good they've been, but they're a really bad matchup for the Los Angeles Chargers. I agree, because with Milton Williams especially out, they have struggled against the run, and then with him in, they were great against the run in the early part of the season. And Jay, I think a really interesting conversation here is between Justin Herbert and Drake May. Who would you rather have as quarterback, Justin Herbert or Drake May? Who does this game mean more to, Justin Herbert or Drake May?
Well, those are separate questions, right? So I think you already know, so I think that's you're asking for everybody else. I'd rather have Drake May. I don't think it's a question. Who's it more important for? Justin Herbert, because what the fuck have you done over your career except cash that Brinks truck bag in? Because, like I've said, he gets more passes than anybody in the league, and I think this is another thing where they'll use it against him. I don't think it's necessarily the correct thing to do this year. I think they've had a fine year, and I think they're moving in the right direction with the right coach. I think they need to get younger at some of their defense positions. They need another number 1 receiver. But I don't think anybody's going to talk shit if Drake May loses this game. I think Justin Herbert may finally start having to answer some questions.
Yeah, I agree. I think nobody thought that the New England Patriots would be, at this point, like, going into the wild card round as favorites. Like, I don't think many people thought that would be happening.
I mean, they're the second seed, right? So, I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think many people thought that would be happening at the start of the season, which means, look, they're favorites. They should go out and beat the Chargers. So I think people will be upset if this potential MVP season from Drake May amounts to going out in the first round. But by comparison, Justin Herbert, it is time now to start delivering on some stuff here. And I think he'll be let go because, apparently Joel is the most important rookie ever in the NFL, because apparently Joe Alt makes such a difference that Justin Herbert can't be criticized if he loses because Joe Alt is out. I get that when it's Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, they're 2 of the best tackle combinations in the league, but you've got to get to a point where you win despite injury, and they're not winning despite injury here with the Los Angeles Chargers. They got into the playoffs. They look decent, but it's a lot for Justin Herbert has to shoulder that.
And what I meant when I said nobody's going to give a shit if Drake May loses, it's only because he's a rookie, they'll give him the pass. But I still think they win, right? I think this is a lot more to do with Justin Herbert than Drake May. But if Drake May happens to lose, people are going to give him that pass. They're going to be like, oh, he's a second-year quarterback. He's a rookie in the playoffs, won't be like that kind of thing. Justin Herbert's been in the league in a while now on his second contract, and all he's ever done is cash checks at this point. So at what point do the Chargers just get held accountable with Justin Herbert is what I think. And I think you'll finally get some criticism after this.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I'm taking the Patriots in this game as well, which I don't think either of us could have said at the start of the season. Jay, the final game that we're previewing in the wildcard round is the Steelers going up against the Texans. The Texans are 3-point favorites in this game on the road. Jay, how can the Pittsburgh Steelers scheme something up against the Houston Texans defense? That is one of the best defenses in the league.
I think the Steelers' only chance to win this game is if their defense can create turnovers in this game and wreak havoc on that offense, which I'm not sure is going to happen. I think it's just a big road for the Steelers. Wouldn't cry if they won. Wouldn't mind seeing Adam Thielen get some more time in the playoffs. It's kind of a thing, too, where I don't mind seeing Aaron Rodgers succeed because he's no longer in my division. You know what I mean? But it's just like, I don't think the Patriots or the Steelers have what it takes to even win this game. I think the Texans defense is going to outmatch them. But Rodgers is that guy where if you don't do something, he can pick you apart with the short passes. So the Texans, and they do this well, they got to go in the open field because Rodgers is going to get the ball out quick. He's going to kind of play the point guard and see if they can make something happen. But I think they'll be cognizant of taking shots down the field. I think that's something that the Steelers will try to do. So if you can complete a few of those big passes to DK Metcalf, I guess that's your shot to try to get somewhere against this Texans defense.
Yeah, I think they have to stretch. So I think what's interesting with the Steelers is they did actually manage to put some offense together without DK Metcalf. So Jalen Warren, I think, is one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. Like just putting that out there. Like he's a great running back, does a lot without much in front of him, to be honest. With the Steelers offensive line is living off the idea that Steelers offensive lines have been great for a long period of time. This current Steelers offensive line is not great. And Jalen Warren, I think, is one of the more underrated running backs there. But you're not getting loads from that run game. Calvin Austin made some good plays as well. Aaron Rodgers is obviously an elite quarterback, even in this period of his age. But DK Metcalf is the guy that allows you to stretch the field, go up and kind of moss guys. I think that's a really important position for them. So getting DK Metcalf back is hugely important for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Jay, you take DK Metcalf and the Houston Texans can just say, well, I raised you Derek Stingley. You know, Derek Stingley can just go one-on-one with DK Metcalf and make enough plays there that DK Metcalf is taken completely out of the game. And then you have Will Anderson rushing the passer there as well. I don't see how the Steelers really move the ball enough here to be able to get.
Don't forget Danielle Hunter.
Yeah, Danielle Hunter on the other side as well. I don't see how they get enough done here. And Jay, with that in mind, would you fire Mike Tomlin if the Pittsburgh Steelers lose this game?
No, but I think they'll have a conversation. I think Rodgers is coming back, which I think brings Tomlin back. I think you ride out Rodgers with Tomlin. Then you make a decision on Tomlin from there. Also, we already know the Steelers have had, 3 coaches in their history. So I don't think they're moving.
Yeah, I don't think they'll move off Tomlin this season. I think you're right. I think it will ask a lot of questions in this game, but I don't think they'll. I agree with you. I don't think they'll move off Tomlin for just losing that game, especially because of the lack of coaches available there. Jay, the Texans are 3-point favorites. The Texans don't move the ball that well. Just to put that out there, just to put out a thing for the Steelers. The Texans also have a problem moving the ball here. But Jay, the Texans are 3-point favorites. Who you got?
Oh, give me the Texans hands down. I don't think this is even going to be a close game.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I hate that this is the Monday night game. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was surprised that this is the one they picked for Monday night. Like, you could have put the Bills Jags on Monday night. That would have made a lot of sense.
49ers, Eagles, Bills, Jags. Yeah, you could have put almost any game except for the fucking Panthers game on Monday night. It might have been better.
You could have gone Panthers, Rams, Steelers, Texans, Bears, Packers. So you have Bears, Packers on the Saturday night.
It's funny you said that because I said anybody but the Panthers, and you're like Panthers, Rams.
No. Sorry. That was in order. So Panthers, Rams, first game of the weekend. Yeah. Panthers, Rams, first game of the weekend. Then you put Texans, Steelers, the next game of the weekend, and then the Saturday night game you have Packers, Bears, and then the next you have Steelers, 49ers, Eagles, and then Texans, and then you have Patriots, Chargers on the final night of the playoffs. Like they got that a bit wrong. I agree with you on that one. Jay, let's finish off the show with a new segment for us called To Bet or not to bet. And this is the games, Jay, where you decide to tell our viewers, should they bet these games or should they stay miles away from? And you should tell them who they should be betting in these games as well. So your most solid bets
quickly
of the playoffs.
Quickly, ChatGPT says, bet Rams, Panthers. Rams, take the Rams minus the 10.5 is their best bet. And then ChatGPT says, stay away from the Bears, Packers. And I agree with that one. Stay away from the Bears, Packers.
Yeah. All right. So, Jay, to bet or not to bet? Let's start with the Carolina Panthers versus the Rams. Jay, to bet or not to bet?
Normally, I would say not bet these big scores, but I think the Rams come out and slap them in the mouth and show the world why the Carolina Panthers shouldn't even be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I hate the big spread, but fine. I don't hate that. Jay, to bet or not to bet the Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers? The Packers are 1.5 point favorites.
Stay away from this game. Do not bet it.
Too close for me. Jay, to bet or not to bet the Jacksonville Jaguars going up against the Buffalo Bills? The Bills are 1.5 point favorites.
This game, I could say either one, because if Josh Allen has a great game, you could be worried about that, but I'd still say bet this game, Jacksonville.
All right. Jay, to bet or not to bet the Philadelphia Eagles are 5.5 point favorites against the San Francisco 49ers?
Stay away from this game. You don't know if the Eagles go off in this game. You don't know if San Francisco goes off in this game. I would just stay away from this game.
You have zero idea about either of those teams, so do not bet. Jay, to bet or not to bet the New England Patriots are 3.5 point favorites against the Los Angeles Chargers?
Take the Patriots minus the 3.5 and bet this game.
Yeah, bet this one, the Patriots, I think, as well. Although Justin Herbert could do amazing things. Jay, to bet or not to bet, final game, Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Houston Texans. The Texans are 3 point favorites.
Again, take the favorites and the Texans minus the 3 and bet this game.
Yeah, bet that one as well. All right. Cheers, guys. Thank you so much for showing up for our wild card preview show. I hope you guys really enjoy the wild card rounds, and we will be back the following week to react to these. So subscribe and like the show, and Jay, send us out like you always do.
All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe. Hit the notification button so you don't miss any of the shows on the channel, because it's starting getting close to NBA playoff time, and that's well beyond the arc is heating up, so you don't want to miss that. Winging It's been crushing it, and every Friday you can catch the playlist. All right, everybody, one world, one love.